This is the drill that will pierce the heavens! Welcome, my friends, to Tokusatsu in Review, and our look at Denji Sentai Megaranger, Remastered Edition! '90s Sentai are fascinating, even when they're bad due to the cultural and storytelling shifts present in the series here, with a lot of new things coming into the picture that frankly would end up being used far better in ones after them. Denji Sentai Megaranger, not to be confused with the atrocity that was Power Rangers Megaforce, was the 21st Sentai series, running in 1997, and played part in recovering Sentai's reception from a period where the show was losing its audience. While the Western fandom continues to propagate the lie that Power Rangers saved Super Sentai from cancellation, that was never the case, nor what happened with that series. Mentioned in reviews I've made since I originally did the Mega Ranger videos, go watch my Zoo Ranger and O Ranger videos for context. The former involved producer meddling that chose to treat his audience as if they were idiots. The latter was a case of a terrorist attack completely derailing the show for bad comedy. Even members of Power Rangers cast have come forward and refuted the idea that Power Rangers saved Super Sentai from cancellation, as Super Sentai was not under the threat of cancellation prior to Power Ranger, for that series to save it from such. The issue was actually far more long-reaching than that, which caused viewership of the show to tank with its existing audience, which I would accredit to its bad and abstract comedy. So yeah, I see Megaranger as more responsible for fixing what was wrong storytelling-wise with Super Sentai, though not the sole series accountable for getting Sentai out of its 90s slump. The following series, Gingaman, was even more well-received and sold better, moving it more towards the style the show would have throughout the 2000s, and Go-Go 5 and Time Ranger doing decently after. Though no one has any idea why Time Ranger had awful merchandise earnings since its toy line is awesome. Best explanation anyone's gotten is they didn't make that many toys that year. But Mega Ranger was the one that began bringing viewers back to consistently stay, and balancing the toppling Jenga tower the franchise had been becoming, with the following ones keeping and building the momentum that began here. The show was written by Junki Takagami, Naruhisa Arakawa, Shigeru Yanagawa, and Yasuko Kobayashi, while it was directed by Takao Nagaishi, Noboru Takamoto, Ryuta Tasaki, and Masato Tsujino. Certainly a larger collection of talent than what's been seen of some more recent or some of the older series. It's also when Super Sentai shifted to its Sundays at 7:30 time slot, which it held until 2017, in an effort to save money as the series itself the prior year didn't make enough in revenue to maintain the prior one. And that's shown in how Mega Ranger itself was left with a severe shoestring budget due to revenue shortfalls everywhere outside of Bandai's toy sales. The opening theme to Mega Ranger, of course, being named after the series itself. Well, I really like it, though I'm not able to quite accurately describe the music genre for it. Techno? Jazz? Regardless, it's really good. The imagery depicting elements of the cast characterization and interests in quick snippets, alongside action scenes about their gear and tech, while the lyrics tell you quite a lot about the show and its themes without it structured as a teenager gushing about becoming a superhero. My only issue with the song is the overemphasis on spamming the word mega in the chorus, similar to the overuse of Go-Go Power Rangers out of context to its original and correct utilization in recent years. I tolerate it here because it's near the end of the sequence, doesn't take up a lot of it, and there's a lot of other content to it which actually relates to the show, as opposed to Neo-Spawn Power Rangers opening themes which tell you nothing about the show. The series opens with a quick shot of a spaceship before cutting to an arcade where a bully is accosting some kids, only for the first man of the ensemble, Kenta Date, no relation, to intervene, challenging them to a game of Mega Ranger. Anyways, Kenta is a whiz at the game, easily trumping his opponents with his skill. Wow, being really good at video games! That will lead to no usable skills, says the adults of the 90s. I'll just be over here recording gameplay footage for my web series which pays my frickin' bills. Well, now these kids won't have to worry about things preventing them from playing games again. Except for maybe their available funds, their parents, the threat of bugsters and their gaming disease, or the right-wing and social justice nut jobs that proclaim the non-existent or overblown evils of video games simply to push their own agendas because there are a few legitimate critiques of video games exist in every media ever. Kenta is approached by a trio of businessmen, thinking they're talent agents, in an era before video game tournaments and professional gamers became a thing. Oh, and Kenta's kind of an idiot, if you couldn't tell from the trade Japan tends to pair with such characters. At Nasada Space Center, yes, this is where that originates from, an official from the International Network of Excel Science and Technology, wow, they were really stretching for that acronym, Professor Ikichi Kubota checks on the status of a project, a special shuttle that needs to be ready for launch in the next day, as an earthquake hits the base before space begins twisting. More on that later, as iNet's actually preparing to fight its source, having distributed the video game Megaranger, as the gameplay is somehow able to measure one's capacity to utilize their powers. Not the first time a training simulator has been used as a judge for such. Thankfully, they didn't partner with Genom Corp to release it, as that would have just resulted in all kinds of bad. The first candidate to result from this selection is Kenta, and Kubota's not thrilled. But, dude, your organization put a training simulator in an arcade The Last Starfighter style, where a lot of kids waste away their hours. What did you think was going to happen? Still, he recognizes the failing, and with option short, asks Kenta to consider helping them. And he acts like kind of a dick in response, to be honest. At the gates, Kubota's forced to turn down a group of students who had a scheduled tour of the facility. The four, Koichiro, Shun, Chisato, and Miku, are part of their school's digital research club, and with that name, I wouldn't be surprised if they were somehow involved in the creation of Digimon. But another disturbance hits, and the four run inside, actually trying to pull a Scooby-Doo and find out what's going down with the place. Why? You guys are part of a club that serves as the school's personal tech support team. By natural coincidence, the four go to the same school as Kenta, whom they discover in the complex, only for it to come under attack. These are our villains for the show, the Neji Regia, an interdimensional invader. Their name comes from the root word Nejire, which is a play on the word meaning twisted, and Regia, referring in this case to castle or kingdom, the residence of a king or royalty. This fits the general thematic of the faction's abilities, their rulers, and even how all of their members are designed and named. Twists of other words to give a reference to their thematic alongside a visual twisting of the monster designs. Dr. Heinler, a twist on the word Hynera, which also means twisted, and his creation/subordinates Shiborena, from Shibore, which means squeezing, and Yugan, coming from Yugamu, meaning warping. Though Nejire and terms based on it in the show tend to be misspelled with a Z due to translators using improper romanization. While some of that is coming from Toei's officialization of the words, English-speaking translators should really not be having this happen if they are doing their work correctly. As I've discussed before, this is rooted in a romanization error coming from the language's origins from Mandarin Chinese, and outside of attempting to invoke a thematic motif or naming pun, which this is not, shouldn't be seen these days, alongside this error being a pet peeve of mine, since most competent translators avoid it. And if you look at other spots in this series' translation, such as the title, this GZ romanization issue was evaded. You know, I give a past a million full curiosity when I use their subs for this review originally, as it was their only outstanding issue and otherwise good translation, but there's a lot more wrong with this set than that too. There are other translation errors and inconsistencies. The video quality is lower than any previous set and is noticeably pixelated. The timing of the subtitles are terrible, as they start and end before the lines they relate to do, and so on. All of which was avoided in both Millionfold Curiosities and also TV Nihon's now discontinued subtitles to the series, which were superior in every way, and only had minor and immaterial differences between them to begin with. Which is made all the more embarrassing about Megaranger's release was delayed by months in which they could have fixed them, and previous sets seem to be fixing these exact issues which we were showcased first in the Zyuranger set. They really need better quality control on this, as not only are we 7 sets in thanks to Gigaman's import at the time I released this remaster, but Shout's also increasing the rate of release as Go-Go 5 will be here in April instead of August, which they should not be doing if they still struggle to get these sets right. Especially in the face of, oh look! The Garo Season 1 Blu-ray from Kraken, released around the same time as the Megaranger set got out, and is the first major Tokusatsu series sub. It is actually a professional quality translation, as they avoid literally every issue Shout Factory still struggles with, including the GZ romanization error, which they do not commit. In fact, I have no significant issues with Kraken's import of Garo beyond using the yellow font for captions. They got it that right the first time around. I cannot say the same for shout sets, and it is far past the grace period you could give to a professional translator on this. Though, because the existing subs for Go-Go 5 are crap, that said I'll likely give a pass to as flawed as it might end up. But I really wish I could direct you at either of the now discontinued fan subs for Megaranger, as at least you would have far better video quality and presented effort in the translation. Anyways, these three, and BB Devi, are the point men of the invasion mandated by King Javius, the ruler of Negiregia, which is also the name of the realm they originate from. We'd later learn that their entire dimension is actually the body of Javius in a weird space-time, I am glitch, I am error, I am missing, outer god-eldritch abomination kind of way, his power actually the cause and effect to such distortions. However, this entire result is a very intelligent preemptive strike, as they were aware INET was preparing efforts to thwart them, planting bombs to destroy the facility. Unfortunately, they're just a bit too late, as Kubota, with no other options at seeing the technical capabilities and resourcefulness of the 4th Digiken students, asks them to join Kenta in fighting off these invaders. And so, 5 teenagers with attitude just locked into superpowers. The Megaranger don't exactly have a good first outing, but with Kubota advising them on the fly, they probably sync with the suits and start having the advantage over the Negiregia's foot soldiers. As when I first saw them when the series was adapted to Power Rangers in space, I do like the suits a lot. Though I've never gotten the point of the yellow coloring on the lot, especially as you can barely make out such on Mega Yellow. At least now we know the purpose of the head shapes, as each black dome houses the systems for a specialized program that gives each member of the team a unique capability that were not said to exist in Power Rangers in space. Programming special combat skills for Kenta, alongside the processing required for the other skills to interface, connecting to technology and transmitting data for Koichiro, holographic illusions for Shun, X-ray and telescopic vision for Chisato, and specialized audio transmitters for Miku. Though, while I'm at it, there's just one thing I've never gotten. The phrase is at the side of the screen. Tighten up reality gangster. Stigma through idiot hearing. Keep frustration clear. Patience open ahead. Getting away with it led. Some distant memory drink. Get the message. Indiscipline all remains. Wish double editorials cover. Under new stress canoe. Primal tribal. And I can't even read the last line. What does it mean? What does it mean? I have no idea. Somebody please tell me. I need to know. Even after all this time, I need to know! Sorry. Kubota orders an evacuation of Nasada to the Mega Shuttle. Yes, we're suffering through that this series. And yet it's still better than how Neo Saban has used it. Anyways, it's set to launch as the facility begins to explode. The team stuck fighting Ugand until he too withdraws. The 5 making out into the shuttle, and the lot... Yes, I couldn't resist. The shuttle makes orbit and docks with INET's secret weapon and base, which the team in Kubota will operate out of when not living their normal lives. They're briefed on their transformation devices, the digitizers, and individual powers and capabilities. And to add a bit of grounded realism, the group wonder, after the hard time they had with Ugand, if they're even capable of succeeding. To complement such musings, a running subplot through the series in turn ends up being Kubota questioning, thanks to the powers locking themselves to the 5, if he's going to be leading these kids who have their whole lives ahead of them straight to their deaths. Remember this point. It explains a lot of his actions, pays off later, and serves as his greatest fear. All of which informs why he is one of the best Sentai mentors ever. He actually does give a damn about the well-being of his subordinates, and does what he can to not only make sure their lives are safe, but they remain and develop into good people. Something else to mention? When they say INET is an international organization, they mean it. Though it ends up limited to a blonde European woman who I don't think is ever named, nor did I ever catch the name of her actress, and this man of African descent that appears a bit more frequently, his character named Pop. Samuel Anning, the actor, you might actually recognize, as he was one of the guest actors that was later seen in Abba Ranger, and the episode he was in was used for the Sentai Stand-Up episode of Power Rangers Dino Thunder, Lost and Found in Translation. Anyways, Neji Regio launches its next assault near the arcade Kenta hangs out at, Kenta heading back down to Earth, somehow, because they hadn't introduced the Cyber Sliders yet, to try and save his friends there. This is when Heinler publicly announces their assault, with their minions, the Nejire beasts, leading the charge. Kenta showing that though he can be a dick, he is nonetheless a compassionate person, saving the kids from earlier as he did before, but in doing so, forgets to transform.
You are made of stupid.
Granted, the other four do the same, but after they install, the first of the Nejires is trounced. Kubota calls them back to the ship as it in turn comes under attack. Huh, that ship must run off of Minovsky particles. But it's only to buy them a few moments as it's time. Ladies and gentlemen, Galaxy Mega. One of the best designed mechs in Super Sentai. Heinler orders them to ram the mech, but they're easily able to counter such, and their assault ship destroyed, but not the threats, which is something Kubota has to slam into their heads when the five celebrate the end to their little adventure. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Sorry kids, but to quote a veteran on the matter,
unfortunately, they always do.
Megaranger starts brilliantly, though not giving enough time to anyone but Kenta of the main five to establish them, which subsequent episodes then immediately fill in. Nonetheless, it's just stuffed with content flowing organically from point to point and magnificently paced to allow everything the chance to breathe and settle with the viewers, as opposed to being just hand-waved, establishing the basics of everything important. And it's all built off of later. Though we're never given a satisfactory explanation for how INET knew Neji Regio was coming to invade, with which to repair everything they have and will create. In fact, this is all they know about Neji Regio's motivations. Not the first nor last Sentai to have this problem, but others have existing animosity with villain factions from previous skirmishes, or establish how they have fair warning. Frankly, with so many, even bad ones, which have done such, you expect more and better. This is odd, as Kubota does have a connection to Heinler which is elaborated on later, and that is the only plot thread which works to inform such, but only from the perspective of Heinler, not the rest of Neji Regio. Speaking of, as we enter episode 3, Heinler shows how he creates his minions. Oh, now you're not even trying. You're technological interdimensional invaders. Magic has no place here. For the love of Aura, you're not the Crisis Empire.
Now a new reign of terror begins. My reign of terror.
Yeah, that's a running parallel, actually. Anyways, since the five will be working together, the Digiken invites Kenta to join them, which he's not that thrilled over. Initially, you think he's going, "Nerd!" But actually, it's because he has a terrible time working his way around computers. Now, I'm a bit more computer literate than most people, mainly because I'm a do-it-yourselfer, but considering his propensity for video games, this is actually a big oddity. He is, however, convinced to join them because he's aware with his Mega Ranger duties, his lackluster grades are going to get even worse. And the other four are on the school's honor roll. How? They use their tech knowledge to hack access into the school's servers to learn what's going to be on the tests, and then figure out the answers ahead of time via super targeted studying sessions. Wow, talk about gray morality. It's not stealing the answers to the test if they can figure it out themselves, but it kind of defeats the purpose of tests, where you're challenged to showcase your knowledge and character in unexpected ways. Their school, Moroboshi High, had all of its filming take place at the Heisei International University, a private university located in the city of Kazo in the Saitama Prefecture, essentially the suburbs of Tokyo. At the time of Megaranger's filming, the place had only been open for a year, so the shooting of the show helped advertise it and improved attendance in the short term. Anyways, as Kubota informs them they are in fact in for the long haul, Shun tries to back out of all of it, not wanting to take further part, Kenta trying to reach out and discover why. I am going to friendship the crap out of you. Gentaro Kisaragi style! You're an idiot. Life does not always make sense. It's in fact the curveballs life throw us that help define us with their unexpected Oh, I see what they did here. The truth is Shun is a very intelligent and talented graphics design student, his dream to make it in the industry, and has long been agonizing over his productions in hopes he can win a scholarship whose deadline is soon approaching. Of course, when Rhino Nijire attacks, his work gets wrecked. Shun gets pissed and, thanks to Kenta's actions in trying to defend Shun while he's trying to save his work so it wouldn't be lost, the team's blue is now on board for stopping the Nejiregia. But he's not gonna stop working towards his goal in the interim. This is my drill. There are many like it, but this one is mine. However, Heinler's planned ahead, and turned their floating ball nuisance into the monster enlarger for the season, which injects a virus by biting the DNA strands of the monster? You know, this would make more sense if this was a computer virus for digitally created foot soldiers. Also, the episode ends with this. Damn, Miku can throw a punch. It's a shame she never got a battle riser. The next episode in turn focuses on Koichiro, who as it turns out is a reliable, hardworking, well, busybody, wanting to optimize the schedules of the team so they can train, study, and pretty much do everything to a set timetable. Not realizing not everybody lives their lives so rigidly. It's intended to minimize the impact the conflict with Nejiregia will cause on them, yeah, but his plan would have been a bit invasive. His character arc is pretty much learning to retain those characteristics of success without becoming obsessive-compulsive over them, as we see with a few of his focus stories where he's able to relax a bit more, this all telling of why he is in fact the team leader. No, seriously, it used to be a thing that the red member of the team, despite being given the most focus, was not the default leader, usually going to the most capable in the field to do such. But this occurrence has really fallen off over time, to it always defaulting to the red. And unfortunately, it's sorely needed in modern series, simply so we can have somebody that would shut up and reprimand the idiot reds who've somehow become the default leader trope despite them being fucking terrible at the job. But in this case, it falls to Koichiro, and he is damn good at it. Anyways, he ends up finding one of their teachers, well, brainwashed. Shiba Rena managing to get YouTube working 8 years before it actually be founded, and has transmitted a virus through the internet that upon viewing brainwashes people and makes them commit violent acts. Well, I bet that got her fired. This is all being perpetrated with the assistance of Chameleon Najire. Get it? Camera? Chameleon? Name puns! With Kubota assisting in correlating similar attacks, and backtracking the signal, they pin down their location. Great! Now they can prove a DDoS at— Wait, right, that's what the villains would do. Everybody but Koichiro ends up lured into a trap, the last man standing using his satellite search ability to pinpoint the pocket dimension and free the others, while having a rather nice protracted solo battle with the Kaijin. Mega Black has the strongest physical stats of the group, but probably the least special abilities, so it's good to show off that even with that, he needs the rest of the team to properly deal with the monster of the week. Megazord, punch! Then, Kubota's superiors at iNet review the combat data of the Nejiregia battles thus far, taking issue with the kids being the wielders, and not making the best use of Galaxy Mega. Well, yeah, it's kind of their base. it's hard to make best use of a Megazord that has 100 people or more inside of it while they are in the midst of fighting. This is kind of the flaw inherent in their strategy at the moment. Everybody of critical importance is on board when they go into battle, when they are more capable of being housed in another base, since it's not like they're using the ship to go out into the depths of space. Granted, as shown in the premiere episode, having everybody Earth-based is also a bad move. It's too bad they don't have a space station or a dry dock, or hell, even a carrier-class mech they can evacuate to. Or maybe, even a moon base! Moon bases are cool! But, nah, that would never happen. So, yeah, said superiors have hired a consultant, Toyakawa, to equip Galaxy Mega with a battle AI, so at the very least kaiju combat will be more effective. And I can see at no times where an autonomous artificial intelligence being given control of a giant robot would ever be a bad thing. That's not even considering the possibility of hacking the battle AI to take control of it. But what are the odds of that happening? Kubota thinks it's a bad idea regardless, as Galaxy Mega has been programmed to improve alongside the team's own growth to become more effective, and live combat data from them can be better used to repair any additional mecha they might be working on. But since Kubota's competence has been called into question, he is overruled. And likewise, the team are not happy that they've been replaced by a program.
They took my job!
They took your job!
Oh, it's worse than that. For despite Dr. Heinler being equatable to Dr. Insano, there is a method in his madness. Meaning yes, the Megaranger's primary enemy is in no way stupid. Every plan of his is an experiment, and the only way an experiment fails is if it supplies faulty or unreliable data, so he does not get upset over the grand majority of his losses, instead seeing them as a challenge for his vast intellect to overcome. Case in point, from the scattered remains of Chameleon Najire, the trio has managed to obtain a chipped-off piece of the Mega Saber. The next monster combined with this chip to create an armored shell impenetrable to said weapon. The only downside is he didn't use the opportunity of the supplied sample to analyze it so they'd have a more permanent defense, but that's Heinler's character flaw. Overconfidence in his superiority. So, while he's not stupid, he does make mistakes and occasionally fails to think things through. But that's why he has his creations, to be sounding boards for each other's plots. Ugand more direct and combat focused, while Shiba Rena's an infiltrator. There's no real antagonism between these critiques either, more coming off as intellectual peer review. Lobster Najire, the resulting kaiju, of course makes easy work of the remote Galaxy Mega when its sword is rendered useless. The combat AI nowhere near developed enough to be able to adjust to unexpected situations such as this, predicting zero chance of success, threatening the entire crew's lives, and proving the human factor, which can more easily go with the flow of such an event, is more than necessary, as when the Megaranger regain control of the mech, they throw the monster into an active volcano. Yeah, short version, this version of Japan has technology that can render a volcano effectively dormant, and its existence is used to simply set up how they defeat the monster. This might seem like bad storytelling, but it's actually used to good effect concerning setup, the Megaregia attacking the place and waking up the volcano, to payoff, the monster being done in by the natural disaster it awakened. And of course, since the team won when the oh-so-superior AI said there was no way to, said AI is shelved. But I don't think it should have been entirely discarded. It'd probably work much better in a support mech that fights in tandem with the team, able to receive commands for situations it can't predict. But again, such is merely a fantasy. And now they have enough fried lobster to defeat a small country! However, we have now reached an episode I've been dreading to talk about, simply because of the themes in play. And it's also the first episode that spotlights on Miku. Miku can sadly be best described as the girl, though surprisingly with a similar temperament to Kenta in many respects. Shun's the smart one, Koichiro the diligent one, and Chisato we see is creatively inclined, but Miku's the klutz, regularly screwing up despite that not being her intent, and having no idea what she wants out of life. All traits commonly seen in a girl when Super Sentai choose to not give a damn with the characterization of a female cast member, leaving them the supposed cute one, which normally pisses me off as the cute one is normally nothing but a brat. With the recent Nejire attacks, Miku's been ditching some of her classes to catch up on sleep, and that's ended up getting herself into a blackmail situation, as evidence of her slacking off is used to the advantage of two of their classmates, Shintaro, the big guy, and Jiro, who used this evidence to get her to go on a date with Shintaro. The reason she agrees to this is she mistakenly believes their evidence is of her being a Megaranger. Kubota stresses throughout the year about how important it is for them to keep their identities secret, both from the Nejiregia and from civilians, as that knowledge in either's hands can lead to bad things. Granted, there are several times revealing that knowledge would have made things simpler in the short term, and there seems to be no excessive point to it, but in this case, such secrecy has led Miku to a situation that, had these two been far less moral than wanting a date, yeah, I don't feel I need to elaborate any further. Now, despite this offensive undertone to it, why don't I outright hate this episode? Well, it comes down to characterization and intent. Shintaro is holding a huge crush on Miku, but is so shy, to the point he needs his only friend Jiro to speak for him, he can't muster up the courage to even talk to her. He'd like to have done this without the blackmail, and he's easily enough talked into handing it over for just the one outing with no strings, or things Miku doesn't want to do involved, so it comes off as just not being a social person. What I think saves the episode is, honestly, the wrap-up segment, where the two apologize, hand over the evidence, and Miku tells them that while she didn't really mind the outing or how it went as it made her feel special, she's not going to give them a chance for a second date because of the crap they pulled. And that's the important part that needed to be stressed. Pulling stunts like this will hurt any chance at a meaningful relationship, so don't do them.
好きな人いるから。お茶でもしに行こう。もしかして私なの？
Because damn it, everything is gay about this! This episode also introduces the Digitank, an assist vehicle meant for rescue in hostile situations, showcased in this episode by there being a nuclear reactor damaged and going critical in a... No. I refuse to believe someone would be that stupid to place any type of reactor in a building right in the middle of a fucking city in the manner depicted in this episode. Why would it be on a high floor? You live in a country with regular earthquakes. Any type of structural damage would threaten the surrounding city in the way depicted by the villains in this episode. Hell, that was their plan! Damage the building, instant nuclear explosion. This is by far one of the stupidest plot devices I have ever seen. Unless it happened to be social commentary on how stupid doing that would be. I wouldn't put it past them, that's happened in some sci-fi series. Of course, Miku's date inevitably leads her and Shintaro into the building, necessitating they be rescued, as at that point she is still unsure if their blackmail actually showed her being a Megaranger. But if you think it's just guys and their horrendous dating tactics were the only ones being showcased, well, the next episode makes the girls look just as bad. With a girl named Mishima, who likes Koichiro, mishearing a comment of his after she does something nice for him out of the freaking blue, and thus takes advantage of that to rule over his life in a demanding, controlling, obsessive stalker kind of way, because she mistakenly believes they're now in a relationship. Her mannerisms completely blocking any attempt Koichiro makes to correct the situation, to the point he needs to get Chisato involved to burn off some of her crazy. I'm actually a bit more harsh in hindsight to this one, not because I'm a male in gender solidarity, but because I loathe people who act like this, as I suffered under one for years. I still walk with a limp from one incident of such douchebaggery. The main plot of the episode is what certainly saves it, with B. Nejire striking in a manner that almost makes you think the Nejiregia have a weather machine. Because weather machines are cool. Set assault being rapid lightning strikes across the planet from the high atmosphere, bouncing the beams to scatter the impacts using reoriented satellite dishes via brainwashed technicians. Mishima's nonsense is actually what allows the team to discover this part of the plan, as before they're stumped on how it's being accomplished, so there's certainly that. And of course, that Stinger Hive arm of his isn't just for show.
No, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah!
What I think makes this one worse, however, is again the coda, where despite being really controlling and awful the entire episode, this girl appears to live in her own little world, and dumps Koichiro out of the blue for... meaning she learns nothing and is not made to pay or feel bad over her nonsense or see the consequences of her actions. Ugh. Yeah, these two are not the best episodes to have early on in a show that's trying to recover from such a large reception drop, mainly because of the terrible connotations. This is a country that has issues with those exact issues, after all. Though come back next time for more Megaranger, because it certainly gets better than this.